Welcome back. Something slightly different this week because the road racing season has now finished, so I thought I'd give cyclocross a try. I recently bought a second-hand bike and signed up to my first race, which was round 3 of the Yorkshire Cyclo-Cross League in Wakefield. I turned up to the event with my GoPro, ready to film it and show you what my first experience would be like, but unfortunately I left the screw to the mount at home, so I wasn't able to do that. But all you would have missed is me getting lapped by people, really. So I finished 29th out of 32 senior men. So yeah, it was a tough introduction, but didn't come last. And going into this week's race, which was round 4 of the league in Temple Newsam in Leeds, surely I can only improve from that position. I also had some teammates to the event, so there were 7 of us riding in pink for Alberosa, which was great for team presence, but team tactics doesn't really come into cyclocross that much.
So yeah, we're lining up ready to go. Well, at least some of us are. No, I'm joking, you probably beat me in the race. I'm number 67, so I start 7th row on the grid and we get the whistle to go and it's full gas from the start. There's unfortunately a small crash on the left which slows me down a little bit, but I'm really lucky to avoid the kind of majority of the hold up there and get away, kind of pushing on the power as much as I can, trying to get as many places ahead as possible going into the first climb, because yeah, it's a technical course and there's a lot of steep climbs. You don't want to get stuck behind someone who's slower than you. This start section isn't part of the course, but they kind of just add it in to try and disperse the field a little bit before any technical parts, which makes a lot of sense and you definitely need. But yeah, passing some people, luckily still got some people going past me as well as we come into this first corner. Quite a gentle one, but then it goes straight up into this long drag of a hill, which is now on the circuit and was kind of the main feature, I'd say, of every lap. So I'm just trying to stay, yeah, as kind of close to the people in front of me as I can now, because it's pretty hard to move up anymore. I kind of end up on the right side of this kind of 2-lane channel going up this hill, which is a bit unfortunate because, as you can see, there's kind of people coming up on my left who seem to have a slightly better line and a bit more space and freedom to pass the field. I get a nice little shout out from my channel just coming up here as this guy asks.
Where can we get the video?
Ollie Bowles YouTube.
So yeah, hopefully he's found the video and seen himself on the rear camera. And it's cool to now have another camera in the setup. I recently gained a whole 2 subscribers in one day. So I thought that was a worthwhile sign to upgrade. No, I managed to borrow a housemate's GoPro. But yeah, gives a cool another angle, and also got some power data. So yeah, my first time with a power meter, but I kind of just quite like the stats and the data of it. I'm just a nerd when it comes to data, really, no other excuse.
So yeah, trying to hold kind of my position I've got here, although absolutely terrible cornering from me. Let this guy come up on my inside and another rider gets past, which is not great, but I just try and put the power down to make sure I stay with them at least. As we come on to, well, through the finish line here, the race it's about 50 to 55 minutes, I think, but they kind of tell you how many laps to go when you're about halfway through, and they've worked out the average pace of the leader. So yeah, through this bit, which is really bumpy, really bouncy up and down, and also quite windy on this open bit, so I take the corner quite badly there. A gap opens up and I try and put the power down to get back up to the rider in front to make sure that I'm not wasting too much energy. But yeah, quite a lot of energy wasted there, kind of just sprinting into the wind. Not that it makes that much of a difference in cyclocross because you're not going at the speeds that you would on the road. Again, take this corner really wide. Means I have to put the power down the outside. Someone nearly comes up on my inside again, but luckily I managed to put enough power to stay ahead of them as we come towards this really interesting tree section. So I quite enjoyed it. It was quite fast and flowy, but it was just kind of twisting, kind of slaloming between the trees. The only issue was it was quite slippy on the ground with all the leaves that were quite wet. And if you just look in the rear camera, coming up to this hairpin again, someone unfortunately just slides down as their wheels just go from underneath them. Luckily you can see they're kind of straight back and going again. But yeah, those sort of kind of small falls just really take it out of you.
We come to this section and I choose the high line because that's what I've done in practice and it felt better. However, I get overtaken round the outside at this point, disproving my theory. I think that it was the faster way to go. And we come on to this straight, which it was a bit of a horrible section, was quite bumpy, and it also had, again, 2 lines that you could choose. And this one I definitely did choose the right line. The left was quite wet and mucky. So yeah, I managed to get past that rider there by taking the better line. Had to be a little careful here that you didn't slide out because it was quite muddy. But yeah, caught up to the group in front.
Come down to this small downhill, which then turns straight into a sweeping right-hander. You can see the wheel of the guy in front of me just sliding out a little bit. You have to be careful you weren't carrying too much speed into there or you weren't stopping in time. This was a slight variation from the actual course on the first lap, so they did that just in case everyone was still quite compacted together. They avoided this quite technical section, which was actually such a good idea because the last event I did, there was a technical section right at the start that just caused absolute chaos, and everyone was falling over each other. So yeah, the organised did a great job here. And we come up to a hurdle, which I hadn't done before.
I choose to dismount and run up the hill rather than try and bunny hop it, mainly because I don't trust myself not to fall flat on my face trying to do that. However, most riders do go for the kind of bunny hop option, and a lot do it quite well, and you can make up quite a bit of time doing that. So the guy on my left, he had a really good run at it, made up a few spaces doing it that method. But yeah, I just felt more comfortable off and on, so I stuck to that. And coming through the woods now, down a couple of steep descents, and you can see that completely ruined my rear view camera. And so, yeah, this one was even more technical and rutted. Just kind of got to work your way down, pick the right line. But yeah, my rear view camera did not enjoy it. And that is why you do not buy your mounts off eBay. So I've ordered one from GoPro, which hopefully should actually stay the next time the whole way through the race. But yeah, through the woods on this flat bit, then up this really steep section, probably the steepest bit, kind of forcing you to put the power out through it. Following the rise in front of me, luckily no issues, because yeah, if you get stuck behind someone there, you're probably just toppling over. Yeah, come up on top and just staying with the rise in front, up another little climb, and then down the other side. And then yeah, from here you just start the long kind of drag up the big hill which we saw from the lap before. So yeah, just trying to stick with the riders in front of me. Got some riders behind me as well who just creep up on my left hand side. But yeah, I'm pretty much just on the limit here. I mean, you can see my heart rate really at the top end of my range, and yeah, I'm just trying to stay with the riders in front. But then I get an opportunity to get past this guy. At the same time get overtaken, so almost 3 abreast in that really narrow bit going up the hill, but luckily we all stay upright. And then coming through, just trying to stay on their wheel as they push on, and yeah, we finished the lap. So another lap later, now we're doing this section which was avoided in the start. So yeah, just there's quite a lot of routes that you've kind of just got to hop over and hopefully don't slip on, but we all make it through. Can't really do much here than other just cruise round the track, and then as soon as you get out here, got to put down the power to get down the hill, probably the fastest bit of the course there, as you do the bend coming up to the hurdle again. And unfortunately this time a couple of riders in front just have a slight collision as one of the riders gets off just as another one is coming up behind to bunny hop it. And yeah, that was unfortunate. Those ones can really hurt, I can imagine. Luckily I still managed to just stick to my off and on, run up the hill, get a fairly decent run, managed to stick with the riders in front of me, and I'm quite happy that I'm not losing too much time doing that method. So yeah, I'd rather stick to that and avoid any mishaps. Come up here, and honestly I was so close to falling off there. You can see the rider in front gets out of his saddle, and I'm really having to put all my power down to stay upright, because once a rider gets out of their saddle in front of you, they kind of slip back slightly for a fraction of a second. Yeah, so managed to stay up there. Still with these riders on the longer hill, and I'm feeling kind of quite good, so I managed to just get past them as well, even squeezing through there, which was yeah, quite successful to take another couple of rides off and then work my way trying to get up to the next rider and yeah, see if we can catch the next group, which are a little bit ahead now. Come down on the next lap again into this technical section, and someone proving my point of how difficult it can be, slipping off there. The rider behind has to get off as well. I managed to stay on, but not really to much advantage because I've still got to really stick behind these riders. There's not really much room to pass, so yeah, I just rest a bit, get some slight energy back in a place I can, and then yeah, full power back down the hill where the speed can be picked up. And I actually get quite a nice run at this one as well, so I see an opportunity to get past. I think maybe I can be a bit quicker, manage to take a really nice line on the inside there and get past that rider coming up to the hurdles. And one of the great things about cyclocross racing, which I found, is the support and kind of camaraderie. So as we're coming up to the hurdle here, some great cheers for Albarosa as I'm going up. And yeah, clearly just gave me that extra boost I needed to run up faster than that rider next to me, and then I've got some clear daylight ahead of me until this rider comes back past me, who decided to bunny hop over the hurdle and yeah, was clearly more efficient with doing that. So I'm behind him again, but I still feel like I can go faster than him, so again I take him on this corner here, put a bit of power down to give myself just a clear run at this next slight uphill, which just makes it much nicer to take. And then catching up to these three riders ahead onto this slight technical downhill as well, which again is nicer to do just without someone right in front of you, although I don't have quite as much of a clear run at this one now. But as we come round here, I've now got some riders to kind of stay with as we come up to the long drag. Next lap and we're still all together. Just managed to get past that rider who slipped on one of the routes. That could have been quite a problem if I hadn't have got through. Another good dismount here going up the hurdle, which is probably my favourite section of the course, just because it made it a bit interesting and was something I haven't done before. So yeah, get back on, start putting the power down, and again this rider from the lap before gets past me on that section again, and stay behind him going up this deep technical bit. And yeah, off the top of the hill, he managed to get right past this rider in front of him that we've caught. But unfortunately, there's not much space for me to get through, and he kind of puts in a bit of effort to try and stay with that rider, so I can't really get round him without expending too much energy. So just sit behind them, biding my time. You can see struggling up this hill now. To stay with the rider in front, so I realise this is my opportunity. I have to kind of get past him if I've got any chance of staying with that rider in front who I've had a bit of a battle with. So coming down this hill, he takes the corner quite wide, and I see that as an opportunity to jump up the inside, get a nice cornering there, and put down the power to start chasing this rider in front of me and see if I can catch him on the long climb. He actually manages to maintain the gap all the way up, so I don't manage to catch him on the climb. And when I think I'm catching him just as we get to the top, it's only because he's pulling over to the side. And unfortunately, I don't know if he had a mechanical or another issue, but yeah, that's the end of our mini battle, which was quite sad. Past the line with 4 laps to go now. We come up later in the lap to this point where we've got the leader now overtaking me. Right. And as you can hear, I don't think he was too happy with me getting slightly in his way, and he must have put a curse on me as he went past me, because I come out the corner and my chain is jammed in my derailleur. I'm trying desperately to back pedal and try and unjam it, and luckily eventually I managed to get it. Start trying to catch up these 2 riders who have just overtaken me, but yeah, feeling a bit deflated by that. On my way to trying to catch them up, I do manage to come and lap Matt, who's one of my Albarosa teammates, and he gives me some nice words of encouragement. That and the support with the cowbells was enough to give me a bit of extra motivation to push on, put some more power down. And as I'm coming up to the hairpin, I can see now the 2 rides that I want to catch. Still haven't caught them a lap later, but I do get now lapped by the 2nd place rider, now nearly 47 minutes in. And as I've come through this bit in the kind of finish area, just want to give a shout out to the lady on the left here. She was absolutely brilliant the whole time. She has a great bit of excitement to the race. She shares kind of what's going on, who's at the front, and reads out kind of the names and clubs of riders, which I think just gives it a great atmosphere to the event and means that people on the sidelines can actually follow what is happening in the race, because it's pretty hard at times. I mean, I have no idea who's at what position at most of the time in the race. Maybe if I was near the front I would have more of an idea, but yeah, we're coming now to the finish line to take the final lap, so you might just be able to hear the bell ringing as I come here. So last lap now, I'm trying to use all the energy I have left. I managed to catch the mountain biker eventually. By this point we get to the hurdle and I get a really good dismount and back on again to actually get a good gap on him. I hug the tree line here as I look back and see that I've gone past him and managed to get on and stay in front of him for a little while. And yeah, so as we come down into the more technical bit, I've managed to take that position, but I can hear that he's still kind of right on my wheel. A bit later on we enter some traffic, so yeah, just try and get around people where I can. Also maybe to see if I can use that to my advantage, to see if I can make a bit more of a gap to the mountain biker behind me. You also might be wondering why a mountain biker is riding a cyclocross race, but at this level you can actually use any bike you want, so yeah, no excuse for not giving it a go. So we come up to the climb, now it's really approaching the end of the race. A few more riders to get past that we're lapping, and at this point you can see in the rear view camera the mountain biker is really closing the gap. He's catching me up, trying to get past me. I'll just keep it steady behind these riders and wait for an opportunity. My legs are burning, but here I just go for it, put down all the power I have left, everything that I've got, to try and get away from him, but he's not budging. He's sticking right on that back wheel of mine, and I can't really tell at this point. I think maybe I've got away from him, but I hear as we're going past these people, they're like, you're on his wheel, like they're telling the guy behind me, you're like right there. So I put another effort, put a lot of power down going up here into this straight towards the hairpin, and I just hope that that's enough. And as I kind of get towards the end, I look back and I'm very relieved to see that I have actually put in a bit of a gap, because yeah, my legs were burnt at this point, and it was tough going. But take the hairpin, slightly a bit more relaxed now, and yeah, still give it a bit of a sprint to the finish, because why not. But yeah, end up finishing 18th out of 36, so a massive improvement, and it was just a really fun day out and a great introduction to cyclocross racing. And if there's anyone out there considering giving it a go, I would highly recommend it, whether you've never tried racing before or you just want to keep up your race fitness over the autumn and winter before the road season starts again. Definitely go out and do it.